Right, welcome everybody. Lovely to see you and really excited about the day and really grateful to all the speakers who've made the effort to join us. So we have 6 invited speakers today and to help us celebrate the 100th edition of the journal, and there is a bit of a story behind the talks, in that we've asked 3 of the speakers to, I guess, talk about the challenges that fresh produce and horticulture faces at the moment, and I guess that's going to be mainly, but not completely, UK focused. Obviously, the journal is an international journal. And then we've got 3 speakers talking about 3 different developing technologies, which I'm sure each of them will contribute to the future of horticulture. And I guess that's what we're looking forward to, is the future of horticulture. So I think today we're probably focusing on edible horticulture, but I guess you could say the same thing for ornamentals as well, and ornamentals have a key role in terms of human well-being, as well as the edibles. So without further ado, then I'll hand over to the first speaker, who's Professor Simon Pearson. And Simon is director of the Lincoln Institute of Agri-Food Technology, and Simon's going to talk about robotics and AI in horticulture. So obviously one of the technologies.
But Journal of Horticultural Science is absolutely dear to my heart as well. I think one of my first papers was published in Journal of Horticultural Science with an esteemed colleague, Paul Hadley. The research was done here. Lots of detail work in the 3-ton pub, and I think it was an Indian restaurant somewhere in the middle of Reading, which was the standard supervisory approach for all of Paul Hadley's students. Wasn't it? So it's a journal we've known for a very, very long time. So what I'm going to talk about now is really horticulture and AI and robotics. This should have been the closing thing, and but I'm afraid it's the opening thing, so it's got a little bit outjointed. But some of the technologies that are evolving at rapid pace in horticulture, but also I think my message is don't go away thinking this is a technology pitch. To get these technologies into horticulture, we need much more detailed work on much more interdisciplinary work in terms of business, the economics, social impacts, and all those sorts of things. So these are very transformative technologies, and it won't happen without a very broad approach across many disciplines. So what I thought I'd do is really just go a little bit about AI. I think everybody's excited by AI. I guess really the big transformational moment was when ChatGPT sort of hit the comms pretty much early this year. It's not that long ago. It's incredible, really. What I thought I'd do is really just challenge how far AI is, and just try and give a bit of a reality check. And I'm always asked, and we work very heavily on crop harvesting robotics, and I'll explain a little bit why. And I'm always asked, when are these robots going to be here to pick these fruit, particularly by politicians who are desperate to reduce the number of migrants into the United Kingdom. And so rather than me giving an answer, what I thought I would try and do is actually challenge AI to give us an answer. So I dialed up Dolly 2, which is an image system, an AI image system, and I said, build me a strawberry picking robot, and there it is. As you can see, there's a few flaws in its cunning plan to take over the world. So that's the strawberry picking one. And then I thought, well, let's have a bit of fun, and let's have a sheep shearing robot. And there you go. It's got a lovely sheep shearer. Oh, it's the happiest sheep that you're ever going to see, isn't it, really? But it's just completely nuts. So that's humans do not fear. We're okay for a little while. And then I thought, what I thought I'd do is then look at some other things. So it's not very good at designing robots, but that's coming. And then I thought I'd really sit and look at AI and large language models, and I wanted to see how clever large language models were. And so not very good at designing robots, but then spookily good at basic horticulture. So I put in this question: I have a grey mold on strawberry. What is it, and how do I treat it? And it said grey mold on strawberries is most likely caused by a fungus called Botrytis cinerea. This fungus thrives in cool, damp conditions and can be a common problem in strawberries, especially where it's blah, 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 blah. And what it did, it then gave quite a script, and it actually gave the treatments, the pesticides, the fungicides, the off-label approval stuff, all the regulatory stuff. And I need to, for Graham, when I put this in the paper, I'll check it. But the actual prescriptions, the fungicides, look really good as well. And I thought, well, that's a bit spooky. So, okay, yeah, okay. So, robots not going to replace humans robotically, but actually robots. If you're Pippa Greenwood doing BBC Gardens Question Time or Bob Flowerdew, you should be getting a little bit worried at the moment, I think. And then I thought, well, okay, then give me a vision of the future of horticulture with robots, and it gave this image, and I thought, well, that's quite good. I like that. I don't agree. It's Hidcut. You can see it there. With lots of robots, so that's what AI thinks the future's going to look like. I don't necessarily think that. But then you sort of got to think about, there's a sort of, the AI is coming on, but then so much for dystopia. The world is changing and fast, and where can robotics help? And I think it's so important in horticulture that we really sort of look at some of these key challenges around horticulture. The one that we work on very much in Lincoln is around selective harvesting robotics. This is a picture of a daffodil picker in Cornwall. I ran a company that employed 900 amazing people who picked daffodils in Cornwall. That person there's got paid 7p a bunch for daffodils. So you'll see daffodils in shops or retail for £1, but that person got 7p of that. And that is a very hard, difficult job. And those people who do that are amazing. I get really hacked off when people say that they're low skilled, because they ain't. But I'd challenge anyone to do that job. It's tough. And but a few of them are coming, and that's a problem. And then we want to change diets. We want to have more healthy diets, more fruit and veg in the diet. What's the biggest barrier? So I did 7 years with Marks and Spencer in a buying team. The biggest barrier to change consumption is price of food. And there's lots of other stuff, nudge theory and all these sorts of things. Price is the biggest determinant, and that's all around productivity. So how do we drive productivity? So you can go in a shop and you can buy an apple at a cheaper price than a packet of biscuits. And that's where we got to. And that means productivity. We need to be able to get productivity in the system so people can afford that food and then consume it. And then we've got climate change, which which is just, I shan't go on. It's just a disaster. So, so where can robotics and AI help? So I've got a little thing here from the King, just saying about the role of AI and how it's transformational. So hopefully this will work.
We are witnessing one of the greatest technological leaps in the history of human endeavor. The rapid rise of powerful artificial intelligence is considered by many of the greatest thinkers of our age to be no less significant, no less important than the discovery of electricity, the splitting of the atom, the creation of the World Wide Web, or even the harnessing of fire.
So that's something that the King did just before the Global AI Summit, and for Rishi Sunak, just contextualizing the significance of AI. And I think it is going to be significant, and it probably is that significant. I think it's very interesting that politically he's got involved to make that statement. I honestly don't disagree with it. Now, the thing about AI though is AI cuts across several worlds, and lots of large language models is really their digital systems providing information and insight, know-how, knowledge, actual intelligence, all those sorts of things. And that's all well and good. But what we have to remember is that in horticulture particularly, we operate in the physical world. So large language models are great in the virtual world, but horticulture particularly operates in the physical world. And where we're going to make progress in horticulture has to be in the physical world. And that really means robotics, robotic systems. And those are systems which have AI embedded within them, but they still operate within the physical world. If you look at the sort of tasks that AI needs to do, so you've got a number of horizontal tasks here. So using AI for perception, image recognition, all those sorts of things. AI for manipulation, so control and grasping. Using autonomy for fleet coordination, that's very heavily embedded in AI. Using AI for intelligent decisions. Do I pick it? Do I not pick it? And all those sorts of things. So there's a number of horizontals that could cross. And then what we're trying to do is then look at how we can develop those technologies into verticals. So that's we need robots for selective harvesting. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that. Robots for caring for crops, might be in wheat, might be robots caring for animals. And then we need large language models, and other forms of AI for augmented systems and decision support. So you can see there's a classification of technologies going on here. But the key point is, don't forget, horticulture is in the physical world, and that needs robotics. One of my biggest problems at the moment is the world's got very excited about these and forgotten the physical world, and that worries me. So where is the physical world going? And what we're trying to do is something that is really very, very complex. If you think about horticulture, and you're trying to replace the human person, that video should be playing. So again, my point, this notion that people aren't low skilled is really really insulting. We did we challenged Countryfile TV to compare humans against our robot systems. We had these two people who came to pick fruit on TV for us, and just look at the hand-eye coordination. What's going on here? The skills within these processes are extraordinary. So the person's using his hand, he's targeted, he remember where it is, used his hand, felt it, used touch, and then moving his eye into a radius. People are incredibly effective at picking these things, and it's a very, very hard thing to do. But we're getting there. So this is Dysonism, 10 minutes full. These are robots at James Dyson's farm picking strawberries. So we are getting there, but we're doing quite difficult things. What we need is robots at the same cost as humans, and we're about a twofold step that we've got to get to get robots to the same cost. Here's perception. Here's one of our robots at Lincoln, which we developed, and it's a pair of pincers, picking strawberry. It's identified it, replaced it, placing it in a punnet. But these things are coming. I think for strawberries, we're probably 2 years away. Autonomy is there. These are robots in Kent.
Their way through the darkness. They're robots at work protecting strawberries from a fungal disease called powdery mildew.
Those are robots in Kent with a company called Sala Robotics that we helped at Lincoln, and it has an autonomy stack which does this at night. Uses UVC. There's now several hundred of these robots around the world, and 10% of British strawberries this year will have that treatment. And that's a great treatment because it reduces zero use. Can you turn the sound off on this one, please? So zero use of pesticides to completely control powdery mildew is amazing. And Ahmet, my friend over there, is also doing that in Turkey. These robots are getting very, very clever. We can now get to a point where we can talk to a robot, it will talk back. It's very important these things are safe. This is Leo, one of our senior lecturers. What he's done here is program this robot so you can actually speak to it, say stop, do it in multiple languages, or use hand gestures. So that robot's just detected that signal and it's now moving back. So safety is going to be very, very important because you see this is a very constrained space. People can get trapped. We don't want people to run over. We have a startup company called Fruitcast, which I'm a director of. This is for using AI for crop forecasting to reduce food waste. This is the image detection system. What it's doing is counting every fruit, looking at every fruit. It can weigh the fruit, it can measure the fruit. And the key thing here, it can measure the phenological state of the fruit. And it can do 3.5 million of these a day. Now, if you try and count these things, you'll get to about 150 and you'll go wrong. So incredible. And then we're starting to see these. This is more of a gimmick, I think. This is a Boston Dynamics robot, which we've got in a beet field, and it's going to insect traps. The robot's just looking for the insect trap. And then in a minute, it's going to, you put sound back on this, it's quite cool. And then it's going to, there's a camera in its head. It's going to look inside the trap. We've got a PhD student here. He's then counts the aphids in that trap. And then the thing will go off and find another trap. The point is that the mobility of these things is extraordinary. It's just going to turn around and skip away. Isn't that cute? So that's a Boston Dynamics thing. So these things are coming. I think that's a bit of a gimmick, but it's a brilliant one. Right, let's keep going. And then we get more focus on crops. So we're seeing all sorts of stuff. We have lots of interest in hyperspectral imaging. We have a project called Hyper-NUE, which is hyperspectral imaging of wheat. Lots of robots for now crop phenotyping to accelerate plant breeding. This is a robot which is used for phenotyping, and then lots of AI used for decision support. This is nitrogen use efficiency in wheat and all those sorts of things. So we're starting to see these technologies now effusing through. And I think what's really exciting for me, I mean, as an old crop modeler, there's lots of new techniques. And I was just talking to Ep earlier about this. And we're starting to see a lot more intelligence about the way that we're dealing with some of the science questions, which is really interesting. And I think what we've had is almost two communities of practice: crop modelers, machine learning people. And machine learning people take data and stuff it into a computer, and it comes out with an answer with no biological meaning. And I think that the bit that's really exciting me at the moment is we're now seeing these two communities fuse. So we're seeing crop modelers talking to machine learners who then are doing sensible things, and we're driving the science forward as well as just the AI. So we're starting to see a new step change in techniques. And then really, where's it going for things like selective harvesting? I worked on the DEFRA automation review with George Eustace, who's actually a student of horticulture from Bethel College. And we're trying to really sort of rethink how AI is going to affect the nature of work in horticulture particularly. And now, I think where we ended up was just thinking of the skills required to work in horticulture, and broadly split it off into what we call cognitive skills, so the skills that you use to think, and then think of it as dexterous skills, so the skills that you need to use your hands. What we now see in large language models is a very, very powerful step forward of technology to support and augment, not necessarily replace, cognitive skills. So think of lawyers, think of accountants, think of all those sorts of jobs. Those actual skills can be rapidly supported and augmented by AI. But think of the dexterous skills, which is the workers' skills. They're really hard to do, really, really hard to do, and particularly robotically. So what we think is likely to happen is we might see a rebalancing in skill base in society over the next 20 years or so. We don't know what it's going to look like. But cognitive skills are now easy to get at in terms of AI. Dexterous skills aren't. So you might see a world where a crop picker is much more valued than a manager, and all those sorts of things. So we're going to see this rebalance going on in a way that we can't predict, and hopefully it will be driving productivity. If it drives productivity, that will drive growth. And I'm closing out, Jeff, so I'm not showing too much longer. So, but the other thing is, I think it's really important. Technology is not panacea. So I continually hammered all the time about when can I have that robot? When is it going to be there? But it's not just about robots. It's around the infrastructure, the skills. How do we train people? It's about investment. It's about data, digital stuff. There's a whole range of stuff that needs to be addressed before these technologies are going to take off. And that's where government needs to be heavily involved. Otherwise, none of this is going to happen. So technology is not a panacea. The danger in the automation review was that we said at government level is robots will be here in 5 years. Then the Home Office would have gone away and said, you can't have any workers, British horticulture. That would have caused a complete collapse of British horticulture. It will not work like that at all. And then green shoots, there's lots of great companies going on. So lots of robots coming out. I think there's 200-300 robots now out on British farms. The very, very best ones. So Fruitcast doing a good job. Dogtooth is close on strawberries. Four Valves got several hundred robots. 10% of British strawberries this year will be done with Four Valves. And the one I'm excited by is Agaricus, which is mushroom picking. They seem to be making some real progress. Okay, come on. And then finally closing out, the final question I often get is, will robots take over? And if you read the press, think of this notion of artificial general intelligence, and that's the point when robots become more cognitively intelligent than human beings. And so I did Boris Johnson's Food Summit. It was 2 years ago, and Boris was there, and then this chap Ben, I thought he was quite clever. He brought his robot outside there and tried to jam it in the door. And number 10 didn't quite fit, scratched the side of the door. But and then I thought, well, actually, I'll ask my dear friend AI, what does the future of a British Prime Minister look like who's got agriculture at his heart? And this is it. And I just like the linearity of the shrunken soul down at the bottom there. Sorry if any. This robot obviously likes John Deere, but anyway, so the robots is coming. So the election's coming, the robots are coming. So watch out. You're not getting that for your journal. And then the final word. So will they take over in 5 years? So again, I went to my friend ChatGPT. I thought, well, don't ask me, ask the bloody robot. So it said, while automation robotics will continue to play an increasing role in agriculture, it will likely be a gradual process, and it may take more than 5 years for them to significantly transform the industry. Farmers and agricultural businesses will adopt these technologies as they become more practical, cost-effective, and well-suited to their specific needs. Human labour, we're okay, humans, will likely remain an integral part of agriculture, complementing automation to improve efficiency and productivity. So well done, ChatGPT, did a great job. I'd swear I wrote that myself in the DEFRA automation review. But I thought that was a pretty good summary of where we're going. So thank you very much.